Cell and myself, Nipun Gupta. Please give us a brief introduction of yourself.
Yeah. So, hi, Nipun. Really nice to have the opportunity to speak here today. So, hi, I'm Smriti. I've just finished my bachelor's in electrical engineering from the 2020 batch. Currently, I'm working as a research intern at NUS, like a National University Singapore. I've been here for the past 6 months and I'm going to be working here until November. I will be joining the master's in ECE program at CMU in the coming spring. So here I've been working on two projects in ultra low power communications or like batteryless devices and using LLMs for wireless communication applications.
Okay. So, what made you decide to pursue this research internship, whatever you are doing right now, like higher studies you are doing in US, I guess?
No, so I will be joining for higher studies, like for my master's degree, I will be joining CMU, Carnegie Mellon in US. Currently in NUS, I'm working on research, like as a research intern.
Okay, okay. So, what made you decide to go to US?
So, I mean, over the world, like there are really prestigious universities like in Singapore and Europe and US as well. But I do think the opportunities in US presently would be the most advantageous. There is the highest concentration of tech industries, upcoming startups, companies are all in the US, and I I especially personally prefer US is because of how interdisciplinary you can be in tech there. So most other countries in the world, like in NUS, there is more of banking, finance, or in tech, there is more of like a systems and circuits group. In some other country, there could like Netherlands is really good for machine learning. Like most of the countries have their own strong points. But US is one place where almost for every industry they have quite flourishing companies and research groups there. So it gives you a lot of freedom in order whether you want to switch companies, you want to like switch up domains or pursue any other degrees. So in all those ways, I think US would be the best option.
Okay, so like you are currently doing research at NUS, like you have such a strong portfolio. So why did you choose to go for higher studies and not a job or anything else?
Okay, so I think like since my first semester, I've always been inclined towards higher studies. One is like just the idea of it. Like I always loved the idea of working in research and or along academic lines. I was always really passionate about it, and this obviously requires a much higher expertise of masters and even perhaps a PhD. And coming from electrical, which is a core domain, so I still do believe that in core domains, whether you might not want to go into academia, even if you choose to go for a job or industry later. In core domains like electrical, mechanical, etc., having at least a master's degree would give you a really big edge over others because the kind of job requirements that they have, or to work on anything very interesting, really like to work on the designing aspects of products, even in companies, would require you to have a very in-depth knowledge about those domains, which would so they all usually always prefer masters or PhD students. So I guess it helps both in for me personally, it was the research. Like I was always interested in research. Even in my bachelor's, I've consistently worked on research, and masters would be like the next logical step to continue this. And even for people looking to work in the industry, I still think getting a master's degree would give them a high level of expertise required for these kind of job roles.
So, what were the factors you considered when choosing the university and the program for your higher studies?
So I went for the ECE program, which is like the Electrical and Computer Engineering program. As like so this first of all, like I'm already from electrical engineering, and I have also been working on research along like in these lines and communications, which is kind of in the middle of electrical and computer science. And ECE is like is would like perfectly fulfill the interdisciplinary needs of both electrical and CS for me. And it also gives you quite a bit of freedom in exploring diverse domains. And also most of the upcoming domains in like today's tech scene, like AI, X systems, like machine learning, or even VLSI circuit designs, etc., integrate concepts from both these fields. So this is why I went for ECE, and I also believe that it's better to, for one, like as an advice to others looking to decide their domains, I do believe it's better to stick to traditional engineering domains like say CS, electrical, mechanical, or like some of the core domains in masters as compared to some of the newer, trendier degrees that a lot of universities are offering today. So, because so all of these core domains have been established over decades by academic experts, industry leaders, and they are basically what the university's prestige is dependent on. And I know, and also the industry primarily recognizes and hires from these established fields, which gives an edge over the newer degrees. So I know it would they generally have higher competition, but just for the sake of getting into a better university or a top university, I don't think you should go for the newer trendier degrees, because in the longer run, it might offer you a disadvantage. It might, like, it would really not give you its money's worth too.
And why did you choose your university? Like there are
So,
many other
right.
universities, right?
Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, like today, like when taking universities, one thing is like we all start like looking at QS rankings and like in that field, which are the top universities, and also like that is definitely one thing you look at, and the other thing you look at is personally for your goals, how does it align? So for me, CMU fit both of these criteria. So I was so I'm like currently from an electrical background, and I was interested in actually like in during my masters or like further I was interested in exploring machine learning and AI applications in electrical engineering, or perhaps moving towards more of ML research role too. And in these so CMU was ranked one in computer science and machine learning, so that was definitely one of the factors. And secondly, like as I mentioned, like what I've been working on is quite interdisciplinary between electrical and CS. And CMU has a really good research group for both these domains. Like obviously, it's known for its ML, and also for the system side of it, like the electrical and the hardware side of it is also really great in CMU. Like they have published some of the groups that have published like some phenomenal research in actually a lot of stuff that we even here at NUS we're working on is in collaboration with them and or based off some of the work that they have started. So whether I choose to go more towards electrical side or drift more towards machine learning side, in both ways this would definitely would be the best option for me. And the other factor was that I was very strongly considering doing a PhD in future. So definitely like CMU would be the kind of university I would want to come back to for pursuing a PhD, because it's highly research focused.
Okay, so was CMU your first choice, or did you apply to some other universities as well?
Yeah, I applied to a bunch of universities, like around I think 12. But yeah, like CMU was my most preferred. Like, and then maybe tied with like one or two others, but like CMU was, I guess, my most preferred university, and luckily, I guess I got it.
So, like, what was the application process? Can you give us some insights and tips regarding how to proceed?
Definitely. So, for application process, okay, speaking from personal experience, start early, because this is somewhere where I suffered a lot. Like for me, I had some project deadlines and all. I was not able to start really early. So for me, it was more of like uh, 30 hours, staying awake for 30 hours, like filling applications and a lot of deadlines coming up together, and it was extremely hectic. I would not advise that. So I think like as early, I think most of the application deadlines start around mid-December, and they continue until mid-January. And I think almost by like mid-November or end of November, you should actually start making your account on the university portfolios, putting in all the information. So even the actual application process, as early as you start, it would be better. Also, another really major aspect is the SOP, the statement of purpose. So this is something I think you should start really early, as in maybe even in like by September or October. Like you start with a draft, like you have to probably edit it like 4 to 5 different times. You have to come up with a concise narrative, and I would definitely recommend getting input from other people to have a look at your SOP. People with more experience and seniors would be a really good option, especially seniors who are already studying in US or like other universities, or the kind of universities we want to go to. So I did this, and I took I took inputs from a bunch of seniors, and we went through my SOP and gave a lot of really constructive advice, which was very useful to me. Then when you're applying, you should research on the professors in that university, especially if you have a research background during your undergrad like mine. You should research on the professors in the university and customize your SOP according to them. Like you should mention which are the professors you'd like to work with, and what direction or projects you're interested in working with them. And this is something I did not do, but I later found out like a lot of my other friends here who applied are actually doing it. Would be really beneficial is if you could reach out to the professors after your application, like all the professors that you mentioned in your recipe. It would be really great to drop them an email, because if they come across it, it definitely doesn't hurt chances. It would, I think, in fact, help further. And lastly, I would say to customize your statement of purpose and personal statement for each university. Like, because different universities look for different things. Like Stanford is something that is quite focused on innovation and entrepreneurial kind of interest. Cities like CMU are extremely research focused, and then are some other universities like UT Austin, which are a bit more on the industrial and tech side. So you might have to tweak your recipe and like your narrative, and even like mentioning kind of what goals you're looking for in the future according to what these universities value in a candidate. So this is rather than using the same thing everywhere, it would be really nice if you could tweak your statements according to what the university is also looking for.
Yeah, Lavanya is also with us, Didi, and she wants to ask some questions as well.
Definitely, yeah. Hi, Lavanya.
Hello, Didi. Hi. Okay. When you are here during your college years, you work
Yeah.
with two professors, that is Professor Naveen and Professor Anand. We would like if you could walk us through the experience. How did you approach them? How was the duration? And how did it help you for the colleges which you applied to?
Okay, sure. So I actually started working on research quite early, I think towards the end of my third semester. And this was when it was still like the online semester for us. And I approached Professor Naveen MD after taking his course on probability and statistics. So I spoke to, I was really interested in starting out in research. I spoke to a couple of seniors about the different research directions in electrical, and communications seemed something really interesting to me as it had like a strong math background. So I approached him, and like so at that time I had not really done any courses on like wireless communication, so I was not too aware about what it is. I just had like an interest in working in it. So he guided me like through like what kind of through some reference material, or like how to build up like a coding expertise in this required domain. And after like a couple of months of prep, I started assisting. Earlier, I started assisting him in one of his group's research teams, like with his PhD students. Like I was working on a small component of it, and soon it moved on to my own individual projects and such. So it was, and I think I continued working in this for almost around 1.5, 2 years, which is so like working consistently is important. Like definitely, if you don't, if a project doesn't align with your interest, you should like switch it up for something else and explore. But it's important to like as early as you start and as consistently as you can work, it would benefit you that much. And so since I started working on research early, this helped me secure internships, like research internships, to even just sending out emails to professors abroad and other universities, because I already had some research experience. I was already working in a concise direction. And coming to Professor Anand, and okay, so like with Professor Naveen, it was like quite a successful output. Like we published I think three conference papers and one journal where I was the second author, and three conference papers with me as a primary author. So it really like was a very productive experience. And I started working with Professor Anand as my research, like in my 7th semester, which was quite late. But I was really interested in exploring machine learning as a domain, and especially because of all the upcoming research in LLMs. And I was, because as I mentioned, I was really interested in working in like an interdisciplinary direction with electrical and ML. So I really wanted to get some ML experience, and he was working on detection of working on building linguistic models for low resource languages, tribal languages. So which was also like a very interesting project, very interesting direction. So I joined him there, and it was so he was also quite helpful. Like it was like I was quite new to the field, and he helped me pick up a lot of concepts, and actually we could work on something productive and get productive results. So it was a really great experience, and it exposed me to an entirely new field in like I think because of that project, like now I'm considering maybe working in like an interest, incorporating some ML direction in my future work.
Okay, we are very happy to know that you have 4 research publications under your name, and we would
Thank
like
you.
to
Yeah.
and we would like to know more about it, how it has helped you.
Definitely. So, obviously, like it, I mean, it takes a lot of effort and it's quite challenging, but I think it's like it would be a really good advantage if you're planning to apply for higher studies, if you work on research in your undergrad and are actually able to publish some publications. And it would be great if you can focus on maybe individual projects that get you like you if you're leading the publication, if you're the first author, because that really speaks to universities and like even the professors in future that you might want to work with, because it shows that you were the primary person in charge of this project who worked on developing the project like under the professor's guidance. And it, for one, it gives a lot of credibility, like both for obtaining further opportunities, like maybe like I started working on research which helped me get my second year internship. Then I had a publication, like one with Naveen MD sir, and one another publication for my second year internship, both of which helped me get into the MyTax internship in my third year because I already had some research experience. And then all of these things helped me get this opportunity at NUS. So it's always like a ladder that you climb up. All of your experiences or outcomes from your previous experiences help you in getting something better for the future. And all this will definitely help you get a good master's university. So it's not that you cannot get into good universities without like any publications or this experience, but it definitely makes the process a lot easier and you will get much better opportunities and offers from some of the top unis.
Okay. Not only in the college, but you have also gained valuable experience through the research internships of the University of British Columbia and
Yeah.
also New York Institute of Technology, right?
Yeah.
So how was it different from the internships you did here, and what was the difficulty level of achieving that internships, and how has it gained? How has it gained for you? And what
Okay, so
advice would you give to people who are aiming for internship abroad?
Okay, so I got my second year internship at New York Institute of Technology. Like, I came across the professor's profile and some of the work he was doing seemed really interesting. So I just sent out an email like saying, okay, I'm quite new to this field, but I'm really interested. And I went through some of his research papers and reached out, and he was interested in taking me onto his team. So since I was getting like I was scheduled to go to New York and work with him at the university, but I injured myself and I had to get a knee surgery in that summer. So I had to stay home and it was online, which definitely makes it a little more challenging than like working in person anywhere because of firstly the time zone difference, and most of these professors are really busy, so it's difficult to get slots for meetings and to communicate concisely with them. But it was a really great experience. Like it is a learning curve. Like when I started, it was the paper I was kind of referring to and basing on was extremely mathematical. Like, and the first time I saw it, I just did not understand anything, and it really made me doubt whether like, is it too early for me to take up an internship or something? But I think like if you give it something enough time and attention, and you will be able to get through it. And so like, it led to like finally like I was able to successfully work on the project, and the difficulty level is like definitely it was more difficult than something I'd done before here, because it was so when I was working before with Professor Naveen MD, like as I mentioned, I was assisting his PhD students. So I was working on only like small individual tasks and like in collaboration with the PhD. So it was quite guided, and this was something that I was like almost entirely doing myself with like minimal supervision from the professor. So difficulty wise, it was more difficult, but also extremely like a really good learning experience. So this was so I was like really lucky that okay, so in difficulty in getting these internships is for second year there aren't a lot of like internship programs as such. So the best way is mainly to reach out to professors, and I talked to some seniors, and like usually they say you should have the patience enough to mail almost 300 to 500 professors, because most of them like do not see the emails or do not reply to emails. Like cold mailing is not like a very short thing, but luckily like the second professor I had emailed responded back to me, and we confirmed this project. Meanwhile, for my third year internship, it was through MyTax. Like I did not reach out to the professor individually. Like MyTax is like one of the internship programs, and obviously it would be really great to act for third years. There are a lot of like internship programs like DART, MITAX. There are some in France and some at EPFL as well. So it would be really prestigious to get these because not only is your internship valuable, but even getting the like these tags carry their own prestige. And the application process is slightly challenging and it's like slightly difficult to get, but I think like if you start working on research earlier and like you have a good enough portfolio with like and if I think grades is also something they really look for, like in all the professors that I have contacted, since they do not know the student, it's from a different university, and all of them like to see your transcript. So grades is definitely something that matters not just for your masters but also for getting these kind of research internships, and especially your grades in your core courses in the domain that you're studying, and especially like the direction in which you're working. So and like the experience in my third year internship at UBC was also like really great. So the research was pretty cool. Like I was the lab being like one of the top 50 universities. Like uh, they had a lot of cool equipment in the lab. So just seeing all this and interacting with people there was really great. And uh, it was like a bunch of other interns. So just speaking to people from different countries, working on diverse topics in different areas of research, and seeing their profiles, what their future goals were. I think in general it gives a really good perspective in life and helps define your own like ambitions and career aspirations for the future. So it was like a really great experience too. Similarly, NUS, I reached out to the professor through like I came across some of his work and that was published, and I found it really interesting, and I reached out to him. And since I finished all of my engineering credits by my seventh semester, my eighth semester was free. So he invited me to come over to NUS and work with the team here. So that's how I got that internship as well. And I think in difficulty level, I would say that this is the most challenging out of all of the other projects I've worked on before, because like I mean, it's kind of informal joke, but yeah, like Asian culture definitely is more challenging to work in as compared to the West. But like I in general, NUS our work culture is quite hectic, and especially like the research group that I'm working in, like it is like it's very like it's a really great group, and they publish in very amazing places, but it's also quite demanding. So but yeah, like you have to put in effort to get something good in life.
Okay, baby. Also, to summarize your experience, what
Yeah.
steps would you tell a student to take to ensure that he has a very good research internship and has a very good chance for a higher education
Okay.
in a prestigious university?
Okay. So for one thing that is, as I mentioned, important for both of these are grades. So it's not exactly like a make or break factor, but as much as you can maintain good grades, like maybe if you can try for above 9 or at least 8.5, would really benefit in both of these things. Also, so even for masters, like research is not the only way to go about it. Like you can have a good industry-based profile, but I would speak about research since like it's from my own personal experience. But having a good research experience would definitely help in getting other internships, other research internships, as well as getting like a good university for your masters. And I would say start early, like start working with professors in our own institute. Like most of the professors in ITDH are more than happy to take on students even during their second year. So like the earlier you start, the better. Like reach out to professors, talk about what they're working on, see if they have any projects, or if you have your own ideas. Like I'm pretty sure most of them will be happy to guide you. So start working as early as possible, and in the beginning, just be consistent, put in more effort, and you need not like stick to the same professor, or like obviously you can explore a bunch of projects, decide what you like. But once you decide that, I think it's better to like streamline your efforts into one direction or one goal. So the earlier you decide what domain you want to work in, what direction you want to work in, the more time it will give you to actually build a constructive profile in that. And for masters, definitely research, like in doing internships would really benefit. Like you can all whether so you can try for internships with other universities, whether it's abroad or other universities in India. And if not, I guess even working at IIT Dharwad itself would be beneficial. But in summers, you can work like on self building and doing some courses and learning. But I think it would be better if you do internships or like come to IIT Dharwad or work with the professors here, work on research rather than learning yourself. Like you can do it on the side, but don't keep your entire time for that. And finally, coming to extracurriculars, so obviously it plays a role, but it's not like a make or break factor. And I would say that rather than doing a bunch of scattered stuff, it's better if you maybe pick one or two things and kind of really delve into that. So you have them as like identifying extracurriculars for your profile. And it would be even better if it's something that could align with your academic interest, or like when you put in your recipe, like your overall goal. So, okay, like for example, one of the organizations I contributed in was Girl Script, which is like an NGO, open source NGO that promotes diversity in tech for like women and even like others. So this is something that you can pitch into your building into your whole narrative about what you want to do and what are your own values in academia and tech. Also, finally, like just a few other tips is before applying for masters, it would be great if you can build your own website and upload some of the work you've done there. Have like upload stuff on your GitHub repo. These are things I've not done. Like I did not get the time to do so, but if you do find the time, it would definitely be great. And there are people who do things like write blogs about experiences. Like if you do internships abroad, or like even like any other, if you go to present at some conference, like better if you put it out somewhere, whether it's LinkedIn or just write a small blog about it. All these things would definitely like push your profile even further. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, so you mentioned about cold mailing the professors. Like,
Right.
how did you come across these professors? Like, you visited the sites for the colleges, like one by one, or there was some source?
Yeah, so most of them, like traditionally, it's like you go to university websites and you see the profiles of professors, find professors that are working in along like similar domains. So this is traditionally the way that people find professors to cold mail, and this is what I did for my second year as well. But like my internship at NUS, the professor I made for that. So as I mentioned, like that was kind of by chance. Like I came across one of his research papers and I found it really interesting. So that's how I found him and emailed him. But usually, in general, you go to university websites, go to the department, find professors, and find the ones that have common interests as yours and working in similar directions, and you can email them.
Like, is there anything you could have done better to improve your portfolio?
Okay, good question. I think in my fourth semester, I messed up a couple of courses. Like that is like the time I got injured too, and like a lot of stuff was there. But I think, after that, I like put in a lot of effort to get my CPI up back to 9. But I think it's easier if you have like a consistent CPI. So if you basically try like not to mess up too much in any one semester, like obviously I get a bit up and down, is natural, it happens, and especially if it's like an health issue, but it just becomes like more and more difficult to improve your CPI back to like some original one if you like mess up anywhere. So just try to keep it as consistent as possible. One thing is that. And secondly, I feel like I actually took up too many extracurriculars. Like I was a part of like a lot of organized, especially like during my second year and third year, and I was a part of a lot of organizations and like a lot of clubs and like a lot of things. So as I mentioned, like maybe having one or two things that you're doing for extracurriculars and like maybe continuing in that for a longer time, so you can have like more things to talk about, like your experience. You don't need to have 10 things. It's better if you have one or two things that you can actually talk about in your SOP about what you work for and what you did and how it has helped you. So because it saves time and effort, and time and effort too. So yeah, I think I should have gone for like slightly less of those.
So, is there any general advice you'd like to give your juniors?
Like yeah, I mean, like I would just say that like I know everyone wants to have fun in engineering, and that is also really important. But you don't need to like study 24/7, but just try to find like a good balance, or like to like have kind of a regular effort based bachelor's. But because I know, I mean, it's tough now, but it will really pay off in the future. And like getting this step up, like you're already from an IIT, which already offers you a very good platform. And if you get into a good university, like your opportunities in future would drastically improve, and it would like really carve out a different path for you. And so obviously that like put in consistent effort, and you should also have fun. Like you should not just like study and make your entire 4 years about that. Just find a good balance between extracurriculars, between your academics, research, and also like chilling with friends. And same, like people say whether we should focus more on courses or on research. Like there is no one answer. Like it's not like okay, you should publish like 5 papers and have like a CPI of 6 or 7, and it would not matter. Obviously, that will still be a disadvantage. And similarly, if you have like a CPI of 9.5, but you have no research experience, that is also a disadvantage. So you can find your own balance. Like try to find your own like personal way to balance all of this for whatever suits you in your further goals ahead. That's all I would say.
Lavanya, do you have any other questions?
I think that's it.
So that wraps it up. Thank you, Didi. We wish you prosperity and happiness in future.
Yeah,
we'd
thank
like your
you.
guidance, like from time to time. Maybe
Yeah.
you can surely get
Definitely.
this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, just one last thing I would add is one thing that really helped me was reaching out to, because I know it's difficult to like go to professors and just speak to them directly about things. So one thing that really helped me in my first and second year was speaking to a lot of seniors doing a lot of different things, whether it was like industry related or like research related or like towards masters. And I continued this throughout my 4 years. So this is something I would really encourage everyone, especially like in their first and second years, that reach out to seniors who are doing things, like speak to them. It will actually give you a very good perspective of what what the domain or what the thing is like, if you want to do it, and also how to get into it. Like I also, if anybody has any questions to me, if you want to reach out to me for anything, that I would always be happy to help. And not just me, like anyone, reach out to as many seniors as possible. Like it's really, I think that would be the best guidance for you.